Well, so thank you so much for sitting down with me. My name is Matia, and I'm
Okay.
with AJ3 Report. Um,
Okay.
and so we're really excited to sit down and talk with you today. So for our viewers, I have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Todd Dulaney, a Grammy nominated artist, gospel artist, also a former professional baseball player.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
before we get into the interview, as we're getting into the interview, I would love to kind of peel back that onion a little bit. So former baseball player, what's
Yeah.
what's the background on that?
So the background is that was my dream job. That was really what I wanted to do. The competitive side of me has always been my thing. Since as far back as I could remember. Since as far back as I can remember, my parents had me in sports, had me competing, and baseball was kind of a sport that I realized at an early age that I could kind of probably make a lot of money doing. And so when I was 18 years old, I got drafted by the New York Mets. And I said, oh yeah, this is it. Like I'm gonna get paid to
Right.
just to
Living the
play a
dream.
game. And you know, I would have never imagined that my life would honestly even take this turn because this was the farthest thing from my mind, especially sharing the gospel, like singing gospel music. That was not in my uh, in my view of what a good life would be because I didn't even know at that time that gospel artists could. So here I am, how that's going to turn out. So like really for me to get over here and do this, it had to be a God thing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
when did that great awakening come for you? How did you know, like, okay, it's time for me to make this move? What was that turning point?
Oh, so I came home one off season from playing with the Mets, and I was trying to date a young lady, and she invited me to come to church with her.
Okay.
And I went to the church and I had the encounter like with God myself, like my heart was affected. And so I was there. And then even more so the music was so good that night
Right.
that I was like, oh my God, like this. And then I was listening to him sing and I was like, this dude can really sing. And so I stopped talking to the girl, kept going to the church. And
Wow.
after that, that was when I began to um, sing in the choir, sing on the praise team. And I knew then I said something is different happening in me. Like I don't think I ever want to go back. I don't think I ever want to go back to play ball
Wow.
again.
Wow. And so, growing up playing that sport, getting prepared for that next level. So, when it comes to the music side of things, for you, that aspiration, did you do any music as a kid, growing up or?
So my parents made me be in the choir, in the church choir. So
Okay.
so I had some type of understanding of like three-part harmony and
Right.
growing up in church, but never to the point where I thought I could stand before thousands of people and sing. Like I never would have imagined that I could do that.
Right.
But as I hung around Smokey
Mhm.
and sang at the church, I got stronger and I got more confident over the span of about 2 years. And I mean, and I grew like massive growth.
Right.
Like I really was, like just studying under a legend. And so I was kind of watching how he would do interviews. I was watching how he would preach on Sunday, and I learned so much that when it was my time, I think I kind of had like a head start. As far as other artists, I don't think they would have had a cheat sheet like him.
Right. Right. Wow, that's phenomenal. So, did you ever have to deal with this kind of puts me in the mind, I think, of the limited series on Netflix right now, chronicling Colin Kaepernick's life and how he, you know, even though he was this baseball prodigy, essentially, like he had it made in this particular sport, but he was stuck on, doing football, which wasn't per se
Yes,
a sport. So, and of course, he caught a lot of flack from a lot of people, kids
yes.
and adults alike. So, did you encounter that?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because the world, has made its mind up to put all of this stock behind being a professional athlete. Like it is the, for especially in our culture, like
Yes,
it
sir.
is the only way that we can become millionaires. And I honestly, leaving it behind was one of the best things that I ever did in my life, because it set me free from the mindset of, if I don't do this, I can't be successful. And like it even taught me to ease up on my children, because I was going to put that same thing on my children. Like, well, if you got a chance to play professional sports, you better play professional sports, because that is, no, my mind's, it completely shifted, because I'm like, that's not the end all be all, to be a professional. I mean, for one, my mindset is so much different now that like it thinks about things like the athletes are not even the ones making the real money. The owners are.
Hello.
And so if I could teach my kids how to own a team,
yes,
or
sir.
to be smart enough to create something where they can be the owner of it, then that's what I would rather teach them, than to be anything that would have to work for the dollar. Because I mean, you know what I mean? Like, to me, the people that are on the field, the actual product, you don't make money unless you're out there performing. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the owners can sit up in the box, even though that they're working in a different way, and the money is continuing to roll, whether they're playing or they're not.
Right. So how does that mindset, because I was on your Instagram page, and so I saw you sharing kind of a different perspective in terms of the financial side of things that maybe people, artists aren't really thinking about. So it sounds like you have a mindset, not only does it apply to sports, but even where you currently are with the music. So, is that kind of some of the impact you want to leave on not just gospel music, but just, music in general?
Yeah. I'm free, right? That's first. Like, I'm free in my mind to believe and know that I wasn't made by God to be used by man. Like, I wasn't created to be used. So my gifts and my talents are supposed to provide for my family. And for people that are less fortunate than me. But when your creativity is making people wealthy that are not really even attached to you, that's a problem. And I think that so many artists, creatives are okay with only receiving 30%, 20% of their creativity, as far as the profits of it. And I just kind of have come into this place where that's not okay with me. I desire to be a better steward of what God has given me, and to teach people to actually get involved in the business of your creativity. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when I think about things like this, I think about most of the people that are CEOs and the ones that make all of the money are not really creatives.
No, they don't have the intellectual property. Yeah.
So that's the sad part, is that they're smart enough to know that they need to get in on the profits. But the creator of it is usually someone that's not smart enough to even care. They just say, hey, look, I just want to create my invention, and I want to make enough to get me out of poverty. And then what happens is, in the long run, you get frustrated that you realize that you're getting taken, but it's nobody's fault but our own as creatives, because we don't dig in and actually say, no, this is mine, this belongs to me, and I want to actually capitalize off of what I own.
Right. That's awesome. I love that ministry aside of you as well. I love that. And because, like you said, it's so important. And that intellectual property, that's yours, created in you, that nobody could have done but you. And like you said, you were an instrument of God. And for man to be profiting off of that, that's just, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, like for real, that is my biggest ministry right now. It's and it turned into that, and a lot of people won't even know how to receive me in this right now, because I am really, really firm on sharing this everywhere that I go right now, that I think a lot of people are like, well, we just want you to lead worship. Nah. I mean, I'm going to always be a worship leader,
Right.
but this is
Mhm.
important because I believe it'll liberate a whole culture of people.
Yes.
Like, and it's other people that are crying. There's other people that are crying out too. I was listening to a Kanye West interview recently, and he's crying as well.
Right.
On the other side of music, he has the ears of people on the other side of music that he's really beginning to speak about this and let people know
Right.
that, that like we are. I think that the terminology he used was farming lands that we don't own,
Mm.
and it's time that we stop doing that. And I love that the way he said that, and that just really triggered even more on the inside of me.
Absolutely. It's very akin to things of the past. And in the present, there's too
Yep.
much education and too much out there for us to continue in those
Yep.
patterns. And like I said, that's an awesome ministry. And you talk about spreading the good news. I mean, I hear nothing but good news when you talk
Right.
about ownership. And when I think about ownership, I think about generational wealth. And so,
Yeah.
you're changing things for the future, for the better. So I love that. I absolutely love it. But when we get to the spreading of the gospel of the good news on the music side of things, what is it that, of course it is about spreading the word of God and the love of God, but, you can always take that and have, your own particular focus on what it is you want to, put out for your audience. So what are some of your motivations as you're creating, gospel music?
So corporate songs is my thing. I think like one of my primary focuses and giftings has always been to rally people. I've always had the gift of rallying a gang of people to move forward. And so my music is really no different. Like, I try to make sure that the melodies and choruses are easy enough that a group of people can all catch it, sing it, because there's strength in numbers. I mean, it's one thing that if I'm gonna perform a song for you, that's cool. Like, that's gonna be good, and it might create a certain atmosphere. But if I focus on getting everybody to sing a chorus, that makes an army. Like, it makes something so special that you hear a stadium of people singing a line together, and you feel like that room is unstoppable, because at that moment in time, we are on one accord. And so in my music, that is the goal all the time, is to make sure that I'm not leaving people, because as a creative, I can always just leave people. Right. Like, because we can get so creative that we could just leave the regular mind. They'd be like, well, I don't understand what's going on.
Right.
That's not, that's not the smartest way to approach reaching people. To me, like, you know what I mean? Like, if I desire to reach the world, then I have to make sure that the world it's edible for the world. The world can taste it and digest it and say, I get that. I rock with that. And so, so that's my music. And then to top it off, if you're trying to reach somebody with a message, that's essential, that they can digest what you're giving out, so that they can actually take the message and apply it to their day-to-day life. So that's my whole mindset behind creating music and creating songs for the world to sing.
Absolutely. I think it takes a special person to be able to understand how to meet people where they are without having to compromise where it is you're coming from, so to speak. That's phenomenal. So what does the future look like for you? What are some of the things you feel like you still want to do in the gospel music, or just, in the world in general? What are some of the things that you still, I haven't met, I know I have this calling on my life. There's still a little bit further I can go. What are some of those things you have?
I want to be a billionaire. I know that like that probably people will be like, well, what do that have to do with Christ? No, that has everything. It has everything to do. Like, and the reason why I say that is because I don't want to have to ask anybody for permission to do what God has asked me to do. And a lot of times people have great visions and great ideas, but then they get stuck at the place where they have to go and ask to borrow some money, or to ask to go and do something for some permission. I want to move so free in the natural that whenever God says, go here, I want you to be on a jet to India right now. Go right now. And I
Right.
want you to set up and I want you to stay there for 20 days. And I want 20 straight days of revival. And you pay for every bit of it. And
Right.
I want to be that. And so right now I'm building my own companies. I got a couple of companies now that I'm building, and I'm really focused on just being a great entrepreneur. And so I can get to the place where, like I say, we can move around, we can do revivals and not have to ask about it, but actually, fund these revivals so that people can meet with Jesus. And there are no worries of, man, how is this going to get paid for? No, don't even worry about that. I got it. Right. And so that's the future for me. And I'm locked and loaded. Like I am locked in. Nothing is breaking my focus.
Right.
I'm more focused right now than I've ever been in my life. I'll do more music. I'll create more music because I love to do that.
Right.
But I'm telling you, my heart is set on becoming something that is unstoppable in the natural so that I can represent Christ the way I believe he meant for us to, in pure dominance, dominion. Right. And so, that's my heart.
And truly, representation matters. I think so often when we see entertainers or even Black billionaires, we don't necessarily always see that, someone coming from your background, from that arena. And so that representation does truly matter. That's
absolutely
very important. Yeah, I love that. So, we're about a week out from Thanksgiving currently. We got the Christmas holidays coming this year. Like the past couple of years, just seems to be trucking along, no matter how any of us feels about it. So, what are some of the things you kind of have in mind and plan? Because I hear you say your father. So, what are some of the things that how do you like to spend your holiday season?
Oh, so we have a routine, but I have to figure it out. So my wife and I, and all of our birthdays are like now, right? So my birthday is December 20th. My wife's birthday is on the 2nd of January. And so usually we go out of the country somewhere to somebody's island and we just we spend it great, right? But this time, I don't know what we're going to do because we just had a newborn. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And so the thing about us traveling like that is that's how we make these newborns. And so so I'm trying to lay low this year because I really don't want another child, right? And nor does my wife.
Right, they'll work. You love it, but they'll work.
It's inevitable. When you go to one of these nice islands, everybody feeling good.
Right.
Somebody getting pregnant, so, and it's not me. So, so this year I got to figure something out, how to celebrate my wife and how we're going to celebrate and not get pregnant.
Right. Well, you probably have your work cut out for you.
Right.
Well, so how can fans basically keep in contact with you? Are there any tours scheduled? New singles, all that good stuff?
Absolutely. So we got a new single out called Satisfied, and it's featuring my mentor, Smokey Norfolk. Awesome. Right now, I think it's going to be a really, really big single. Touring, I'll definitely go on tour in 2022. We've been talking to a few people about possible tours, and so we'll figure that out. But like I say, and then as far as finding me, you can go to Instagram and just type in Todd Dulaney. Go to todddulaneyland.com. And you can find me there as well. But so the biggest thing is I'm just running my companies.
Awesome.
And spreading the love and the power of God through the corporate space. And so it's just been beautiful for me.
That's a wonderful undertaking. I truly, truly am looking forward to seeing bigger, better, brighter things from you. I love education. I love learning.
I can see it.
I love that about you. I really do. I love that, especially like I said, when you talk about things that shift generations. That's phenomenal. So thank you for sitting down with me with AJ through Report. Again, wish you all the success. Happy holidays. Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
I hope you and the wife are able to sleep through the nights a little bit with the newborn. So thank you so much, and you have a good night.
All right, you too. Thanks a lot.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.